welcome back. This is the Picot elastic waistband video. So you should have an undie with your legs and side seams and gusset all together, and all you've got left is a raw edge at the waistband. You're going to take your elastic according to your cutting chart for your size. We're going to need a ruler and a marking pen, and we're going to use our color-coded pin system. First, on these ends, we're not going to stitch these together. We're not going to open the seam. We're not going to fold it over. There's going to be no bulk on the seam. So we have one smooth line here, except for our side seams, but they're top stitched down and smooth. So we're not going to have any bulk on the back. So we just need to mark these, each of the raw ends, at about a 3/8 of an inch. And you can eyeball it. You don't have to mark it at all, but I'm just marking it for the purposes of the video. All right, so I've got my ends marked there. I'm just going to fold this in half, and I'm going to make my quarter marks. All right, so I've got my fold. I'm going to mark that. That's my front. I'm going to mark it with a pink pin. Then I'm going to find my sides. So I'm going to line up the mark that I made with my pin, as if that was a sewn seam together. I've got one green side, and then the same for the other side. And my mark is on the other side of this one. I'll just put the mark on the pin and get my second green side. All right, so my waistband is quartered, and I have to quarter my waist on the undie itself. So I'm just going to line up the side seams with a pink pin. I'm going to mark the front at the fold. Check those side seams again. And with a blue pin, I'll mark the fold at the back. I'm going to open those up and match the pins. And I'm just going to make sure that my side seams are actually at the sides. If you did like a full belly adjustment, or depending on your size, your front might be a little bigger than your back. And if so, your side seams will not be your true sides. So you need to mark your sides where they fold. Don't just depend on those seams. Mine line up, so we're just going to leave them as is. All right, now we're going to turn these undies inside out. And we're going to start in the center front. And we want to put the Picot, right side Picot to the right side of the undie, with the flat edge meeting the raw edge, and line up your colored pins. So we've got our front marked. We're going to mark this side. So I've got my green pin matching my side seam. And then I'm going to mark my other side, making sure that my elastic isn't twisted. Right. Then I'm going to come around to the back. So I've got an end here and an end here. So make sure I'm still flat and not twisted. I'm going to put that marking that I made right on the pin. And then I'm going to take the second side and put the marking I made right on top of the pin. Right, so I've got 3/8 inch elastic sticking out here, 3/8 here. Just gonna pin that down. And we want to stitch this on with a serger or your overlock stitch on your sewing machine, and make sure that this edge gets finished and that you're completely stitching on the flat part. The flat part of the elastic is going to be completely covered by stitches. The reason being is that when we cover this, those ends are going to be concealed in the stitch, and the only raw ends on this elastic are going to be these two, just this tiny piece of Picot here, and then the tiny piece of Picot here. And that's it. All the rest of it will be encased, and you won't have any bulk back here. I'm just going to add some helper pins real quick. So I'm just stretching out this section and finding a place it meets and putting a pin in. Stretching out this section. All right, so I'm going to serge that all the way around, making sure to stretch the elastic just until it meets the fabric and not stretching the fabric. All right, I've got my waistband serged on, and if you are a serger user, you cut yourself a little tail. Where the tail separates from your waistband, just go straight up and grab the top loop. Well, one that wants to give for us. There we go. Just separate that from your tail. And then you can pull it the opposite way and scrunch all those loops up so you don't have any floppy loops hanging off. And you can weave this in. I'm just going to trim it because it's going to get caught in my top stitch. And that's what we want to do next. We just want to flip this to the outside. See how you can only see your picots now? And you want to top stitch. And here's our seam where we overlapped. So you've got 2 layers there. And the only thing that's going to be raw is 1 picot here and 1 picot here. And you can fray check those or put some super glue on them. They're so small and they're not going anywhere. I tend to not do anything myself. All right, your waistband is all top stitched and you should now have a finished undie. And I'll meet you at the wrap-up video.